I said in a previous video that I had more stories about Mr. France, my health teacher back in high school. And so I thought I'd share another one of those. So this was the moment when I realized that Mr. France was not only a good teacher, but a good and kind person, especially compared to some of the other teachers I had at the time. Now, to be clear, some of the teachers at Walnut Hills High School I got along very well with, but there were some, like in any school, that I did not. I've had a very mixed bag with teachers throughout my academic career, but Mr. France was not in any way a negative. So it was a late spring, not quite yet summer day. It was warm out, pleasant, but not so hot as to be uncomfortable. But as I got to school that day, I realized I was sweating quite a bit. And, I was a little stressed out because I had two big tests that day. One with Mr. France and one with Mr. Brengelman, my math teacher, who was a bit of a hard case. Brooked no crap from anyone. And I walk into Mr. France's classroom and I waved hello to him as I usually did. And he takes one look at me and goes, "Isaac, you don't look so good. Here, I'll give you a hall pass and a note. You'll get to the nurse's office. Have him call your mama and have him pick you up." And I was like, "Mr. France, what about your test?" It was like, "Oh, you don't worry about that. You can make it up later. But you need to get to the nurse's office now." And I protested a little more. I was like, "But I've got another test next period with Mr. Brengelman, and he doesn't allow makeup tests." "Oh, yes, he will. You don't worry about that, no. I'll take care of that. You get on to the nurse's office now, little boy." So, note in hand, which I showed to the hallway security monitors to show, no, literally, I'm allowed to be out here. I go to the nurse's office. She takes one look at me and goes, "You lie down right now. I'll call your mom." I pass a mirror on my way to one of the beds in the nurse's office, and oh my goodness, I was as pale as a sheet, and sweat was pouring down my face. I wasn't just a little sweaty; it was rivers. And it was like, okay, I look like death warmed over. No wonder Mr. France said to get to the nurse's office. So I laid down. I could hear the nurse talking to my mother in the next room. 45 minutes later, Ellen, my mother, comes to pick me up. Again, takes one look at me and immediately goes, "Yeah, we're going home right now." And turns out I had a bad case of the flu. I was out for a week. Basically in bed, doped up on all sorts of medications. And I was pretty miserable for a few days. When I got back, Mr. France, true to his word, "Welcome back, Isaac. Good to see you doing better, little boy. And we'll give you a couple days to rest up and get your bearings, and then you'll take your makeup test during your study hall period." And turns out that he had indeed spoken to Mr. Brengelman, and Mr. Brengelman, as I like to think of it, bent the knee to the quiet but unrelenting will of Mr. France. And, a few days later, I took my makeup tests and everything was well. And, because, that test was a big part of my grade for both classes, both those tests. It was a big deal. And, Mr. France covered for me. He had my back. He was a good teacher. Thank you again, Mr. French. Little boy remembered.